Hello, I'm Greg Rutke of Rutke Mods, and today I've got a special exclusive video from Collin Mister, aka DOSDude1, aka I'm filming it, but Collin gave me permission to film it because he doesn't want to. This video is a video that could break your Mac if you follow it, though, and you actually listen to my warnings. It will not break your Mac as long as you don't try to flash that particular Mac that this pertains to. And what today's video is how to enable APFS booting on a unsupported Mac. And I don't mean by using a APFS script like on Collin, aka DOSDude1's patchers. Using the APFS patch when you're patching everything, and then you'll see that scrolling text and stuff, and then it starts booting into APFS. This allows your Mac to be natively supported, which is a great thing, because I was having problems with my early 2008 MacBook Pro where it would automatically default back to the Snow Leopard even though I had Mojave selected. And I was talking to Collin, and he told me that there is a ROM patcher that he created, but he hasn't said anything about it because he's afraid that it may break someone's Mac. So if you listen to my warnings in this video, you will not break your Mac as long as you listen to me. And yeah, don't do it if your Mac falls under one of those categories, because you'd be playing Russian roulette with your Mac if it falls in that category. So anyway, what this patch does is it literally gives your unsupported APFS booting Mac the ability to boot APFS drives natively, and then you'll never have any more problems with making it boot properly, and it will also allow your system to boot up quicker. And APFS is basically required for Mojave now for updates and stuff, and so that's why I always recommend installing Mojave on APFS. It's optional for High Sierra, and it works great with SSDs. It's a lot quicker on SSD than HFS Plus was. Hard drives doesn't seem to like it, but that's with the helper. When it's natively supported, it seems to work better. So we're going to show you how to enable APFS booting. But first off, we'll have to go through warnings and stuff. But yeah, anyway, we'll get to that. So let's go. So what does the APFS ROM Patcher do? Well, let's say you have an unsupported Mac like my world's fastest 2008 unibody here. As it boots up into Mojave, you'll see the script load up on here. Just like this. Okay? That is the patch that allows, it's like a helper partition that tells the Mac to boot into the APFS. It's very interesting, very unique coding that Collin did there. But say you want to boot it up natively on APFS. Well, we're going to be doing this to my 3.1 Mac Pro here, which does not support APFS natively. And I've been running a High Sierra partition for a while now on APFS because I was going to move it to Mojave, and, well, it's got an NVIDIA card in it, so that's not going to happen. But anyway, we need to get to the warnings before we start doing all this patching. And these warnings are very important. If you're running any Mac, basically any Mac, other than the early 2009 Mac Pro, the 4.1, if it's a late 2008, early 2009, or mid 2009 Mac, it probably has an NVIDIA chipset in it. And to tell you if it has an NVIDIA chipset in it, you go to System Report. This is the quickest way to find it. Go down to SATA Express, and you'll see right here NVIDIA, that's blurry. You'll see NVIDIA NC P79. If you have that on your Mac, do not try this, because like I said earlier, it will be like playing Russian roulette. It may work, but Collin says that a lot of Macs that have the NVIDIA chipset that aren't natively supported, there are a lot of natively supported Macs out there that already have APFS, but patched into it from firmware updates. But if yours isn't natively supported, like if your Mac was dropped at El Capitan, like if you're running a 2009 MacBook Pro or something, you're not going to get APFS support because, well, if you try this, it may brick your Mac. So if you have an NVIDIA chipset, do not continue in this video. We warn you, because if you continue in this video and you brick your Mac, we're sorry, we can't do a whole lot about it. So if you have an NVIDIA chipset, do not patch your ROM. If you try it and you're successful, congratulations. But if you try it and you brick your Mac, you've got a brick. We can't do anything about it. I've talked to Collin, and he's probably going to be updating the patcher to lock out NVIDIA chipsets. Basically, if you're not sure, like I said before, go to System Report, then go down to SATA Express, and then check the chipset right there. Now, if you have an Intel chipset, this mod applies to you. So now that we've got the warnings out of the way, and we're going to show you what the Intel chipset looks like. Let's shut this down. Let's move over to my Mac Pro here. If we go over, go to System Report, and go to SATA and stuff, as long as it says Intel, you're good. Any Intel chipset that supported up to El Capitan, these Macs that supported up to El Capitan, support this flash. I wouldn't, of course, flash the 3,1 2007 MacBook Pro because it's pointless, because you still can't go any higher than El Capitan. But other than that, all other Macs are supported. As long as you have an Intel chipset, you can do this. So if you go to About This Mac, and yes, I'm hammering this into your brains. If you go to the About This Mac and it says Intel on it, you're good. If it says NVIDIA, do not flash your system, period. So, anyway, after all that is said and done, if you go over to this website, which I don't have on the computer yet because I forgot to reload it, 1 second. If you go to this website, dosdude1.com/apps, and you download the APFS ROM Patcher right here, it will download a zip file. This zipped file is password protected. You'll have to open it up and type in the password APFS and hit enter. That's APFS. That's the password for it. And once you do that, it will open up and give you the ROM Patcher here. You want to right click on it, hit open, and then it will detect the system you have. Now remember, like I said before, if you have an NVIDIA chipset, do not flash your system. But if you have an Intel chipset, this will work. So what we do is we go to patch firmware. It will bring up this message right here. In order to flash the system ROM, the system must be put in programming mode. So basically what you're doing is you have to shut down the system, hold in the power button until it rapidly blinks and goes into flashing mode. And then it will boot back up, and then you can run this. I haven't done that yet, so we'll hit cancel. We'll close the patcher here, and we'll go over to shut down and shut the system off. and then I'll come back when that's all said and done. Okay, so to get into firmware flashing mode, you count to 15 seconds, and then you hold in the power button and keep holding it in. Just keep holding it in. Just keep holding it in. Until it rapidly blinks, let go of it. Now it's in firmware flashing mode. And this will work on any Mac. It might beep. That means it's in firmware flashing mode. Now, Macs that don't have lights on them, which I think all of them except the iMacs do, they'll just beep. You'll know when it's done going into the firmware flashing mode. This thing's booting up right now, so when it's totally booted up, we'll come back. Okay, once you've rebooted the Mac and you're sure it's in firmware flashing mode, you can go and reopen the ROM Patcher. This time you won't have to right-click to open it because it's trusted now. We'll go to Patch Firmware, hit Continue, type in our password, and it will start flashing the system. Needless to say, you will not want to be resetting or cutting the power to your system while you're doing this, because this is like writing a BIOS to a PC. If you cut the system, it may brick it. So do not cut the power when you're doing this. But anyway, it's going to save a backup. You'll need that in case you ever want to go back to the stock. And it may also come in handy if it happened to brick your system. You could probably redump it onto the ROM chip, but you'd have to remove the ROM chip. Needless to say, if you have an NVIDIA Mac, do not flash your system. I'm going to keep saying that, I know, but still. This is an Intel Mac, so it should be good. We'll hit OK, and now it's patched. Now, what we can do is restart the Mac again. I'll just shut it down, and then start it back up, and we'll go into the boot menu and see if we see my High Sierra drive. Okay, it's going into my boot menu now, and as we can see right here, we have my High Sierra drive. This is an APFS drive. And the only problem is there is one little glitch. It will add an extra EFI boot to the boot menu, which is annoying. It will do that to every APFS system drive. That's the only glitch in the whole thing. So you're going to have extra drives in your boot menu that you just won't use. I won't be using these two anymore. But now I can just boot directly into High Sierra, and it will boot right up. And if I restart this a few times, this has an SSHD in it. It should actually boot up quicker now, because it was just loading all the patcher files and not the actual operating system files, so it's taking forever to boot. So this should help me a lot. But this is a great thing, because now you can set your Mojave or High Sierra APFS drive as your default startup disk and not have to worry about it using the EFI helper anymore, the APFS helper I mean, and you'll be all set. So what we're going to do is let this system finish booting up. This is going to take a while. This is a big drive and it's got to relearn everything. But we'll let it boot up. I'll set the startup disk, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, we are booted right back up on my High Sierra desktop. Please excuse all the icons. I know it's pretty crowded there. But yeah, we're back on my High Sierra desktop, and everything seems to be working. So we're going to set this as the default boot device again. It should do it. And then it will just boot straight into it, and should be all good here. Where'd my pointer go? Here it is. Startup disk. And now I can choose it, and it will always boot up into my APFS drive. So if I hit shutdown again and let it shut down, when it turns back on, it should just start booting right up. And what I'm going to do is do a time lapse of it booting up. There will be no trickery or anything, and I apologize, it might be a little shaky. I wanted to film this as quickly as possible, so there's no tripod today. But anyway, we'll let it boot up with the time lapse, and you'll see it just boots straight into it. So this is going to be awesome. Let's go. Okay, so let's see if this thing just boots right up. It automatically found the drive. There was no APFS helper there, and it's starting right up. We'll just keep watching it. Here we are, we're in my High Sierra install. It's still loading up. I'm going to have to reboot this a few more times to get it to actually work quicker with my SSHD. APFS was never friendly with it, but it should be quicker now after I reboot it a few times. Here we are, we're back in my High Sierra. And if you're curious and you want to really make sure that this really is APFS, I am going to show you if I remember how to. Let's see here. Actually, it might be, yes, let's see here. There it is. Apple APFS right there. This is my High Sierra drive right here, as we can see. And we could also look it up in other ways, but this is my High Sierra drive. It booted right into it. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So anyway, guys, don't forget to not do this on an NVIDIA chipset. Make sure it is not an NVIDIA chipset. Make sure it is an Intel chipset that you're doing this to. Because, like I said before, Collin said it might work on the NVIDIA chipset, but it will possibly break it. It's happened to a number of systems he's tested it on. It worked on some, but most of them, a good some of them at least, didn't. So yeah, don't do this on an NVIDIA chipset. Only do it on Intel chipset systems. I'll put a list of Macs that shouldn't be supported in the description. But yeah, other than that, that's the end of today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget now that I am supported by sellyourmac.com, so if you want to go and sell an Apple device or something, go to sellyourmac.com/rutkmods, and I'll get a little kickback. It will help me, and it will help you, because you'll be making money. And also don't forget, I do now have a Patreon, so if you want to support me, I'll have a link in the description and also at the end of the video. And that's the end of today's video. Thank you guys for watching. This has been a RutkMods video.